January 2026. Rebirth. Happy New Year, my friend. There is so much to catch up on, so let's get straight to the point. A rebirth. Numerically, the year 2026 is a 1 year. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 is equal to 10, and 10 reduces to 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. The number 1 represents the energies of rebirth, a new beginning, and inspired action. Perhaps you're already feeling it. There is a different quality in the air now. A quiet but undeniable sense that something new is seeking to be born through us. Not later but now. Not because everything in the world has suddenly become perfect, but because something in the human heart is remembering its strength once again. This year will bring great momentum and movement in terms of new ideas, inventions, and creations. What seemed stuck, delayed, or not yet, may begin to loosen and break free in surprising ways. Doors that seemed sealed will now open, because you have finally stopped knocking from the outside and realized you are the one who holds the key. The intentions, focus, and actions we choose to concentrate on at this time, especially in the first part of 2026, will set the tone for what we will attract, create, and experience in the next 9 years. In other words, the energy we practice becomes the reality we live. Moving forward, some things may still look familiar on the surface. But we are now on a completely different road than the one we traveled during the last 9-year cycle. It may take some time before some people notice. Yet, those who are energy sensitive and have already done inner work will quickly recognize the change. Perhaps you can't explain it logically, but you can feel it in your body, in your dreams, in the way life is rearranging itself to meet what your soul has asked for. A 1 year is the perfect time to plant the seeds of our desired intentions, especially for what we would most like to create. This is especially true for our creative projects, our careers, and our relationships. It's true for how we choose to present ourselves to the world and for how we care for ourselves, in mind, body, and spirit. Here are some ways we can work with and integrate the energy of 1 to make this year a time of great joy and personal fulfillment. Embrace our power and become leaders of our lives. This is the time to pioneer and bring something new into the world. Not by forcing, striving, or proving, but by choosing, with clarity and dedication, to stop negotiating with the parts of ourselves that are ready to evolve. We, lightworkers, empaths, and trailblazers, are called to chart new paths that unite humanity. This does not always mean doing more. It often means being more present, more grounded, more anchored in love, especially when the world tries to lure us into fear. This is a year of action, where our inner spark reignites. And when that spark lights up, you might find you no longer have the same tolerance for what drains you. Old patterns that once felt normal may suddenly feel heavy. This is not a problem. This is guidance. A simple practice for working with this energy. Ask yourself every morning, what would the most empowered version of me choose today, starting from love? Then follow the first gentle step that appears. Take inspired action. In the past year, many of our dreams, visions, and projects may have felt on hold. If this has been true for you, 2026 could change everything. However, the way the universe often moves in a 1 year is not by handing us the whole ladder at once. It tends to offer us one rung first, then another, then another. Each step reveals the next. The key is to stay open and willing to take inspired action whenever our spirit nudges us to do so. That's why our meditation practice, or anything that helps us create enough space in the heart-mind to listen to what our spirit is telling us, is so important. And remember, inspired action doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes the most powerful action is making a call, sending the application, having an honest conversation, clearing clutter, taking a walk, saying no without guilt, saying yes without overthinking our choices. When we honor the small actions, big changes have room to arrive. Let your light shine. You are a star. 2026 is not the year to hide or play small. This is the year to fully embrace your magnificence and release the outdated stories and thought patterns your mind had adopted just to feel safe. Many sensitive souls learn from an early age that being visible could attract judgment, misunderstanding, or rejection. So the mind created strategies. Stay quiet, be polite, be manageable. But your soul did not come here to be manageable. You are a gift from heaven, and it is time to align with everything that supports you in sharing your brilliance. This may include taking courses, trying something new, honing your gifts, and cultivating your talents so you can use them more fully and joyfully. And I'll add this, if you've been waiting to feel ready, 2026 may teach you that readiness is not something you find. It's something you choose. Write down your inspirations. 2026 is a year of new ideas, visionary thoughts, and fresh inspirations. Some of these inspirations will be like a lightning bolt. Others will come as a whisper. In any case, honor them. When these inspirations come to you, write them down. This allows you to revisit them, strengthen them, and begin to integrate them into your daily life. You may also notice that as you write, guidance begins to come in real time. Writing can turn into a conversation with your higher self. It helps keep ideas clear and organized and signals to life that you are ready to participate in whatever is trying to come through you. Try this. Write down your idea, then ask, what is the simplest next step to bring this into form? And then choose to take that step within 24 hours, even if it's something small. A vortex of light starting January 1st, 2026. The first of a series of healing vortices will begin to flood us with an abundance of light. This light will permeate us, reaching into the core of every cell, fiber, and molecule of humanity's heart and mind. This is not a poetic metaphor. Many people will feel it physically. Some may feel energized, inspired, and clear. Others may feel tender, weary, emotional, or unusually tired. This is because the light does not only elevate. It also reveals. It illuminates what has been hidden, denied, or postponed, so it can finally be healed. This light will purify old patterns, programs, and ideologies that no longer serve humanity's highest good. Those who resist this light may encounter greater difficulties in the future, so it is important for us to send love to everyone now, even to those who resist it. When someone resists this higher light, they are not your enemy. They are simply afraid of losing what they have identified with. Love does not argue. Love blesses. Love holds the frequency of truth without needing to insist. Here are the key January dates when this light vortex will peak. All of these dates reduce to 1.1.1 in numerology. January 1st, 2026 January 10th, 2026 January 11th, 2026 January 19th, 2026 January 28th, 2026 vortex is simply another term for a portal or energy gateway. During these dates, the planet opens its arms to receive ever-increasing amounts of light. These dates offer an excellent opportunity to reaffirm what we would most like to create in our lives and in the world. Our intentions will be amplified by the potency of the energy these days carry. A wonderful way to approach these portal days is to keep it simple. Place one hand on your heart and one on your abdomen. Take 3 slow breaths. Then speak a clear intention out loud, as if it is already happening. For example, I now live from peace. I now choose relationships rooted in truth and kindness. I now allow prosperity to be safe and natural for me. I now honor my gifts and share them with joy. Concise, sincere, concrete. This is where the power lies. Giving birth to a new reality. The year 2026 will represent a major turning point in our linear history, even though linear time itself is an illusion. It will allow us to witness expansion, healing, and change in our personal lives and in the world like never before. The time has come for us to individually and collectively dissolve the veil of illusion. Here we are, my friend. The beginning of a completely new reality. All the chaos, fear, separation, corruption, and control we are seeing in the world right now are a manifestation of the veils dissolving. When a veil dissolves, it can seem like things are getting worse, because what was once hidden is now visible. What was once denied is now undeniable. What was once suppressed is now surfacing. We can choose to remain attached to the veil, which will make things more difficult. Or we can choose to let it go and step into a new paradigm of peace, wholeness, prosperity, freedom, and love for all. Right now, fear, worry, and chaos are trying to capture our attention, clouding the vision of many. They prevent them from seeing the extraordinary new blessings and changes on the horizon. If you find yourself caught in fear, be especially kind and caring with yourself and know you are not alone. The way we resolve fear is by allowing ourselves to honor it. We honor fear by acknowledging it, feeling what needs to be felt, and meeting it with presence rather than resistance. We are sensitive, energetic beings, and many of us were taught to store fear somewhere deep in the body and mind, simply because we didn't want to feel it. However, the moment we give our feelings the time and attention they need to be fully felt and acknowledged, those feelings are no longer a burden that controls us. Instead, something extraordinary happens. The feelings soften and return us to grace and peace. Imagine what your life would be like if you intentionally created everything from simplicity, grace, and peace. You would become free and could receive blessing upon blessing, because you would no longer be acting from need or desperation. This is what is possible for us now. The elimination of heavy, dense thoughts, beliefs, and emotions we see in our lives and in the world around us is a normal part of this process. Purification is necessary because the personal and collective mind has used every defense mechanism acquired during the era of forgetfulness to cling tightly to old structures. The mind maintained beliefs, habits, traditions, and attachments it identified with, so it wouldn't have to change its way of operating. The mind does not like change, because it believes that, as a result, it will lose something, even itself. However, those who have done the inner work know this is not true. They know that by retraining the mind to welcome and honor change, it can thrive and flourish more fully than it ever could by remaining loyal to old patterns of chaos, fear, separation, and lack. The only way to move through the old patterns that are surfacing is first to acknowledge and welcome all the emotions that need to be felt, especially in the body, because that is where stagnant energy accumulates. This helps the mind feel safe enough to allow old blocked emotions to emerge, so they can be observed and integrated. Then the old wounds and fear patterns can finally be seen, heard, and honored. From this space, the mind can understand that we are not trying to get rid of it, humiliate it, or fix it. We are simply letting what needs to be seen be finally acknowledged. This is how we love ourselves, in a way that allows for deep healing through love and compassion, which is what the mind has always wanted from us. Through all its resistance, its stories, its judgments, and its discomfort, the mind was trying to communicate, in the only way it knew, that it desired our love and affection. Now is the time to be the compassionate presence for ourselves and the world that our inner child has always longed to experience. No adult ever taught us how to be this loving presence for ourselves, because they were never taught. But now this is changing. Big changes ahead. The most important theme during a 1 year is flexibility. Staying flexible mentally, emotionally, and physically, so we can welcome change with greater ease. Because the most certain thing we can expect this year is that things will change more rapidly than ever. At first, change may seem small. But by the end of 2026, we may look back and realize we live in a reality very different from the one we knew in 2025 and before. Here is the gift in all this change. We get to decide which direction we want to go regarding our long-term future. We can now become masters of our own lives, rather than standing aside while external influences shape what our life becomes. And this is where the heart of January's message becomes very practical. Because flexibility is not passivity. Flexibility is spiritual strength. It is the ability to remain rooted in your own truth, while letting life refine the path that gets you there. Here are some helpful ways to work with the energy of big changes ahead, so you feel more stable, clear, and strong as the year unfolds. Choose your frequency before choosing your day. Before checking messages, news, or responsibilities, take 30 seconds and ask yourself, with what frequency will I begin today? Peace, courage, clarity, kindness, trust, joy. When you choose your frequency first, you stop letting the outside world assign you an identity. Practice clean endings. A 1 year is not just a beginning. It is also the completion of what you are finished with. If something continues to feel heavy, repetitive, or misaligned, ask yourself, will this be carried forward into the next 9-year cycle? You may be surprised by the honesty that comes through. And if the answer is no, you don't need to burn everything down. Sometimes clean endings are quiet. A new boundary, a schedule change, a simple conversation, a new choice repeated consistently move energy through the body in times of rapid change. The nervous system needs reassurance. One of the most loving things you can do this year is care for your body as if it were a sacred instrument receiving divine guidance. Even just a few minutes of walking, stretching, shaking out arms and legs, slow belly breathing, humming, or gentle toning can help your system integrate the light instead of resisting it. Commit to what is true, not what is familiar. Many people confuse intuition with comfort. Your intuition may even invite you into the unknown, because that is where your expansion lies. Here is a question that will help you navigate as you face new possibilities. Is this choice in alignment with the truth of who I am becoming? If yes, you are on the right track, even if the mind is nervous about change. Let help be holy. This year invites us to remember we are not meant to navigate life alone. We can ask for help from the higher realms, our guides, and our higher self, who are always ready to share their wisdom with us. But also allow the support of people, communities, therapists, healers, friends, and other relationships that make you feel nurtured. Receiving is part of leadership. It is not weakness. It is wisdom. A simple January integration practice. If you want a simple way to tap into January's energy, try this for 7 days. Each evening, write, What did I do today that honored my future? What did I do today that honored my heart? What am I ready to release before sleep? Then place a hand on your heart and say, I am safe to begin again. I am guided. I am supported. I am ready. Even this small practice can create deep momentum. This time of excitement is our time to shine. When we allow these higher energies to fill us with a new vision for this new 9-year cycle, we will know that everything that is no longer for our highest good is fading away. This is not the time to resist the new higher energies, but to allow ourselves to integrate this new and powerful light. And please remember one important thing. Integration is not always loud. Sometimes integration feels like rest. Sometimes it feels like boundaries. Sometimes it feels like saying yes to what you've secretly always wanted. Sometimes it feels like finally allowing yourself to be supported. We can trust that this great river of light now coming to earth is leading us to the joy, peace, prosperity, and fulfillment we have dreamed of and envisioned. Be gentle with yourself, my friend, as you integrate all that is coming to us now. May 2026 bless you abundantly in every area of your life. Until next time, with gratitude, Emmanuel, the Arcturian Group. The key word is change, dear readers. These messages are intended to present the principles of absolute truth to help those who are receptive to build an inner foundation that will free them from the false matrix that continues to hold so many in bondage, provide a pathway to achieve a more evolved state of consciousness, and allow them to more easily see through the illusions of the three-dimensional world. The key word at this time is change, because change is a necessary requirement for both personal and global spiritual ascension. Individual change automatically brings global change with it, because every realized truth adds to and augments the resonance of the collective consciousness that fuels Earth's belief system. Large-scale global change is the reason so many spiritually enlightened individuals have chosen to be on Earth at this time. Not to do, but simply to be. Over time, every person, in every lifetime, has unconsciously added the energy of their consciousness to a collective consciousness that automatically changes and evolves as individual states of consciousness change and evolve. As human beings awaken to the truth about themselves and others, this collective consciousness will reflect it, allowing everyone easier access to truth and ideas that support unity. The world will no longer simply pray for and wish for change, but will begin to work in practical ways to achieve it and will no longer accept the alarmist propaganda and false claims of those seeking to maintain the status quo for personal profit. Change can be difficult, especially for those new to the spiritual path, because it usually involves letting go of many long-held and established beliefs. One such often unrecognized belief is the need for control. Having control gives a person a sense of being safe, right, and comfortable with their belief system, at least until they reach a point on their spiritual path where control issues begin to resurface, forcing the person to question why. Control often goes unrecognized as such because it has become part of most people's daily lives. Parents who feel the need to control the lives of their adult children. Pastors, priests, gurus, and spiritual guides of all kinds using pressure and guilt to control what followers must believe. Men who feel entitled to exert control over women simply because of their gender, and women often do the same. Government, experts in all fields, education, healthcare, etc., all use generally accepted forms of control to get others to accept what they deem right and for the good of others and themselves. Living in a three-dimensional world requires some level of control. Parents must control some aspects of their children's lives when they are young. Control over one's own life and choices is a necessary part of evolving towards spiritual empowerment. Police need control in their work, and teachers need control in the classroom. The control we refer to is ego-based control that continues to be active in the consciousness of many, often unrecognized as the way things are done. Control manifests as the feeling of the need and the right to use any means necessary to make people or situations conform to the concepts of the one controlling. Control is usually masked by a sense of self-righteousness that causes the controller to believe they are right, doing good, and helping by telling, forcing, manipulating, or intimidating a person or situation into being, acting, choosing, or doing in a certain way their way, even when the information is not wanted or requested. If you keep repeating suggestions on how something should be done to someone who ignores them, you are seeking to control. If you insist on saying you know what is best for another while ignoring their perspective, you are seeking to control. If you constantly find yourself trying to change people, places, and things into the way you or the three-dimensional world says they should be, even if your way is actually better, you are seeking to control. Even the simplest of actions, backseat driving, can be a form of control, which is why it is important to be very honest when examining your belief system for any control issues. The underlying energy of control is the three-dimensional belief that human beings are separate from God/divine consciousness, the belief that there is no divine controller already fully present in every person. It is the belief that there are powers other than the one power lurking around every corner to harm, kill, destroy, etc. These beliefs create fear of what might, could, or will happen if things are not done or people do not conform in a certain way. The belief that God's creations need to be fixed, healed, and changed is simply the hypnosis of a world that believes in separation from God. Men, women, countries, leaders, governments, etc., who operate from a consciousness of control believe they have the right to tell others what to do because they believe they are wiser, more knowledgeable, smarter, and in positions of authority. All manifestations of the ego, the false personal sense of self. Let your intuition guide you when giving help, guidance, and direction to others, always starting from a feeling of love and not superiority. Be very honest in deciding whether your guidance and assistance are based on ego or love. It is an act of love to help another person with the wisdom, experience, and knowledge you have gained, but only if and when the other person wants and is open to receiving it. Never doubt, despite outer appearances, that you and all living beings are individualized expressions of one divine consciousness, God, manifesting not in small part, but in its fullness in, as, and through every person. Remember this whenever you are tempted to use control to make something or someone better, according to your or the three-dimensional world's concepts of what constitutes better. Every individual at some point on their evolutionary journey must accept that there is a divine controller within, which may occasionally mean letting another fall flat, if that is what they need to awaken. Your job, as an awakened person, is to hold out your hand, ready to grasp another's if they reach for it. Your job is not to reach out and pull another out of their personal experience of abandonment without them wanting, seeking, or asking for it. They may have specifically chosen their present experiences to learn and evolve. The high resonant energies of ascension are causing almost everyone to become out of alignment with their habitual self, causing many temporary physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual problems as the high frequencies integrate. You may have thought the ascension process would be a short period of time when everyone would suddenly start seeing the light and Earth would return to what it was created to be, but the accumulated density of Earth's energy requires that the ascension process be exactly that, a process that only the people of Earth can generate. You may have noticed that some foods no longer taste the same or attract you as they once did. You might watch your favorite movie and wonder why you found it so wonderful. This year's holiday season may not have been as exciting as it once was, and some of you are finding you no longer resonate with many previously accepted ideas about how life must be lived to be right. These things happen because change is taking place. Change does not mean dressing up old obsolete concepts in new clothes and then promoting them as new and improved, as those who fear losing their current status of wealth and control attempt to do. Change means really changing, moving from an outdated state of awareness based in duality, separation, and many powers to one that reflects the reality of the One, regardless of outer appearances or what others may still believe and promote. The old is leaving, and soon will be gone. More and more people are awakening to ideas based in unity and are beginning to recognize the prejudice and injustice underlying so many generally accepted laws, rules, and life concepts. Those who continue to promote the good old days as better are viewing the world from a limited three-dimensional level, because the past can only reflect the collective consciousness of that time, which is not the consciousness of the present time. Just as the collective evolved beyond horses as a primary mode of transportation, Earth's collective is now evolving beyond duality, separation, and powers other than the power of the One. Being who and what you are, allowing others to do the same is love. We are the Arcturian group.